Well, thanks for welcoming us into your home again, going live with FCTV. I'm your host, Matt Dowling, alongside Dave Slusarick, fresh from Brazil.
Good to
How
be
are you,
back.
Dave?
It's sure a beautiful country. I had a wonderful experience, but it's great to be home here in Fayette County. But made a lot of new friends and wish they could all be here in the audience with me. Maybe they can watch us online.
Absolutely. There's nothing stopping anyone from Brazil from watching the show.
Right.
We're probably censored in China, but Brazil, I think we're
I heard I was
air.
big in China.
They're the only people that understand you. So let's talk a little bit about your Brazilian escapades. Well, I guess because it's PG, we can't go into too many of them. But what was your favorite site that you got to see?
Wow. I enjoyed visiting. We visited about 6 or 7 television stations because the group study exchange is coordinated through Rotary International. You know, primarily a professional and cultural exchange. So we did get to see TV stations, marketing firms, communication departments for local cities. But I'm a nature guy too, and we saw Falls de Iguaçu Falls, and we actually got to ride.
That means Cucumber Falls in Brazilian Portuguese?
I don't know about that. But we got to ride under the waterfall in a boat. In fact, one of our team members actually flew a chopper. I don't think she flew it herself, but she rode in a chopper right over the waterfalls. Just beautiful, really beautiful and breathtaking. Looked like a shot off of one of those nature calendars that our friends at First Federal Bank put out every year.
Absolutely.
They pay me to say that.
They should pay you to say that. So what the heck is a capivara?
A capivara. Well, I have a new nickname apparently in Brazil, and that's Senor Capivara. Now let me explain that. A capivara, some of our viewers may be familiar, is...
The ones from Brazil, at least.
At least the ones from Brazil. It's a large rodent. It looks like, I guess it looks like a rat. It waddles like a pig. It's hairy. And it loves to kind of graze by the water. Wouldn't get too close to it, but I think it's really, really cute. And I was fascinated by it because I'd never seen one before. I was walking in the park, Park de Baragui, with my host, Dad, and he pointed them out to me. So I saw them on like the very first day of my trip, and then for the rest of my trip, I was always in pursuit of these guys, looking for them and trying to find them. So the Brazilians thought it was really ridiculous, my fascination with these creatures. So I earned the name Senor Capivara, which I guess in English would translate into Mr. Large Rodent.
So that's a great thing to be known for through the hills of Brazil. When you say large rodent, the only thing I can think of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It was a
Skinner?
Skinner.
No.
Slasher.
Leonard Skinner.
Oh,
No, that was completely different. Okay, so so this large rodent, about how big? How much does he weigh?
I can't really estimate that. I would say about the size of a medium to large sized dog. About yay tall.
They carry diseases?
I didn't get close enough to find out.
Thank God. So you're a list guy. You make lists.
Oh, make lists. I have lists for my list.
You could make 10 reasons why you love to be in Brazil, right?
On the fly, maybe.
I'm not going to hold you to it. It was a theoretical.
Okay, yeah.
It was a desperate attempt to make a segue to my next conversation.
I can make a
actually.
list of 100. Yes.
Okay, so I was only asking for 10. 10 Reasons to Love Pennsylvania was recently posted in the Huffington Post. And
So the Post does, they post stuff.
The Post, 2 posts, yes. And 3 of those items are right here located in Fayette County.
That's really something to be proud of.
Yeah, I think it is. So let's go through a couple of those.
Okay.
Would you guess at what some of them would be?
There's so many. I'd say maybe Ohio Powell. It's the largest state park in Pennsylvania. Did that make the list?
I haven't read it yet, so I couldn't tell you. Let's start with Nemacolin Woodlands, okay? Only resort with private wildlife habitat, off-road school, dog sleeping, art tours of a $50 million collection, vintage autos, and vintage airplane museum. A chunk, I don't think they'd appreciate it being called a chunk, but a piece of the Berlin Wall, my card says chunk, Pet spa with private condominiums, blueberry facials, hopefully for the people, not the dogs, a presidential suite, and orthopedic beds. 5 words, say it all, Nemacolin Woodlands Resort and Spa. I believe that almost rhymed, but not quite.
It is a beautiful place.
It's
and
a very nice place.
I mean, where else? Stayed in a townhouse once, and zebras in your backyard. I mean, that's pretty sweet, and you're just really treated with hospitality. And I think in a lot of ways, people expect that Nemacolin is very pretentious, but it's accessible to the people, and there's something for everyone to do up there, really, and to enjoy.
I stayed in a small hut-shaped building up there.
I think those are called the villas.
I think they are villas.
Or is that a retirement community?
That is a retirement community, just not here.
Villages.
So anyway, the hut, as I affectionately call it, was an octagon. So there was no real corner. Actually, there were many corners, as an octagon would go. But it was an interesting place to stay. Had a good time. 2 bedrooms. Got to take my dog up, and so.
Yeah, there's a variety of accommodations up there, and for all budgets.
I had a blueberry facial. The dog had a blueberry facial. We were good
Blueberry
to go.
facials for everyone. You get a blueberry facial.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing equals joy, amazement, awe one feels at falling water.
Oh, of course not.
So the house, if you haven't been there before, seems to float right over top of the water. Crown jewel of organic architecture with balconies suspended in midair. You walk through the house accompanied by the sound of rushing water.
It is beautiful. I talked to someone recently who said her parents' house was built kind of modeled after falling water. So it's very influential in the world of architecture. I learned recently, Councilman Gary Gearing gave our inbound Brazilian team, the Brazilians who are now here in the United States, enjoying and experiencing our culture, Gary Gearing was kind enough to give them a tour of the historic Fayette Bank Building, which is actually located right across the street from our studio. And he taught us that the gentleman who built the Fayette Bank Building, or kind of designed it, the architect, he was actually Frank Lloyd Wright's teacher or supervisor. So Frank Lloyd Wright was a protege of this man, and this man, I believe his last name is Bergen, isn't really as well known. But it's kind of cool that we have some architectural treasures across the spectrum here in our county. And I've spoken with Robert Adamovich. Maybe some of our viewers are familiar with his architectural journals that appear on YouTube and also in the Herald Standard. But he's a fascinated with local architecture, so he will be on a future episode of Going Live to kind of go into more details with that.
So you can float on a raft for a historical tour with guides in colonial period knickers. Just what I've always wanted to do.
I never knew that.
Actually, I think it'd be enjoyable, but I don't know that
think
it was
the guests
on my...
wear the knickers. I think maybe your guides wear the knickers. Right?
Yeah. I have never worn knickers before. I'd be willing to give it a try. Learn about George Washington's only surrender.
Do one thing every day that scares you. That's my life motto.
Knickers.
Knickers that
frightened.
scares the
Yes.
heck out of me.
How George was roasted alive by native people? I'm not real sure about that one. History of the railroad and rye whiskey and coke ovens. Raft and tour provided by
Wilderness Voyagers.
Wilderness
right?
Voyagers.
Yeah.
George Washington was not roasted alive.
Let me see that card. I wrote this. I'm not sure about that, folks, but it is a...
I'm sure it didn't happen. That would have changed history. Like big time.
Oh, man.
Maybe it was more like a Friday night dinner where they roast you. George took so much powder in his wig. Like, I don't,
Right,
yeah,
right.
Comical roast.
Right. Hey, I wanted to mention one more thing that didn't make the list of things to do in Fayette County because it's kind of a new attraction and it's only here for a limited time.
For a limited time only.
For a limited time only. Our Keystone sponsors, the Buy Local Network, have been promoting this, and it's something that Buy Local cardholders can get a discount for. It's a chance to experience the Golden Age by flying in a 1929 Ford Tri-Motor plane. And happens right here at the Connesville Airport.
It's essentially like a Model T with wings, right?
I guess so. And for our viewers that are watching on Friday, June the 7th, you have 2 more chances to kind of check this out. June 8th and 9th, both from 9 to 5 at the Connesville Airport. And Buy Local cardholders get $5 off. You can download a coupon at buylocalfayette.org or just bring your card with you. So you can check out the blog on Buy Local Fayette's site to learn a little bit more and get the details on how you can register a spot. And this is sponsored not only by the Buy Local Network, but by Ford Business Machines at Davies Ford in Connellsville and Charleroi. And the whole thing is coordinated by EAA, I guess, Chapter 45.
Will you be taking a flight?
I'd sure like to.
Now, when you go, do you get to fly in or do you get to fly the plane?
I think you get to fly in. I don't know if I'm ready for my debut yet as a pilot.
Yeah, I don't think the world is.
The world is. Yeah.
So that's great. What are the dates again? One more time, Dave.
It will be June 8th and 9th, both from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening.
So we have a great show lined up for you like we do every week. And so much that I'm not even going to get into it now, but we have to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with some representatives from the Seroptimus Health Fair that is coming up very, very soon.
Thanks for watching.
We'll be right back.
Do you have a Buy Local card?
Yes, I have one.
I do.
Yeah, I have one. I use mine every day.
Where's your Buy Local card?
Use your Buy Local card to save money at restaurants, grocery stores, retail shops, tourist attractions, and service providers. Cards can be purchased online at www.buylocalfayette.org or by calling 724-437-7913.
Savor the flavor of Fayette. Buy local.
A few years ago, I was at a dead end, underemployed, with no idea of where my life was headed. Then I enrolled at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology's School of Healthcare Careers and discovered a great career and great life was only months away. Now, I've started the career of my dreams, and the future couldn't be brighter.
The School of Healthcare Careers at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology offers career-focused, hands-on training for these in-demand fields. Call 724-437-4600 or visit piht.edu for information.
Thanks for sticking with Dave and I after we told you that George Washington was roasted in Fayette County.
Ooh, that could be traumatic.
Yeah, that questioned some of our legitimacy, I think.
No more George Washington slept here. George Washington was roasted here. Jeez.
But with that being said, we have two ladies on the couch who add a lot of legitimacy to our program here today from the Seroptimists of Fayette County. Is that your local designation?
Yes.
Joining me is Sharon Rue and Janelle Meckling. They're the co-chairs of this year's 5K Walk and Run. Now, can you fill me in a little bit? I was talking to a woman I know, Lillian Kale. I don't know if you know Lillian. And she had a pin on, and I couldn't see it from across the room. And I said, "Hey, what's that pin?" She said, "Oh, that's a Seroptimus pin." And I didn't have a chance because it was a noisy room to ask, what exactly are Seroptimus? So why don't you tell me that?
Seroptimus means the best for women, and that's what Seroptimus. It's an international organization. We're in 120 countries.
Wow.
And we try to help girls and women together to build a better life and to educate themselves and become more aware of everything around them.
Now, you talk a lot about diseases that may affect women, primarily osteoporosis. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And your 5K walk run, that money stays in Fayette County. And how's it used?
Well, now it's mostly used for education.
Okay.
Like last year, we, along with the National Osteoporosis Foundation, we went to the junior high level and started talking to young girls who are 12, 13, just starting through puberty.
Start early.
Right,
Yeah.
and learning, what to do to maybe...
Eating properly, exercise regularly. Some of the money went to getting them information, and we did get little backpacks for the students too.
So if people want to if they want to be part of this walk, there will be some information there as well that they could learn about
Oh, yes.
about things. But the walk itself, I wanted to get the date out there. It's Saturday, June 8th, starts at 8 a.m., registration's at 7 a.m., and then there's a fun walk at 9 a.m., correct?
That's correct.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about those different activities?
Okay. Well, this is the 7th annual event that we are having. And we've always had a health fair with this, and it's grown over the years, and we have over 50 vendors.
58.
That's a big health
58
fair.
vendors, yes. And then we also, just this last year, we started with a 5K walk run, and it's competitive. We also have a leisurely walk, which we've had for the past 7 years through the grounds of Mount Macrina.
That sounds like there's a ton to do, no matter who you are, no matter,
Yes.
you know, if you're a competitive person, if you're just looking for
Right.
health fair information.
Or you're just looking for some peaceful time away on the grounds of Mount Macrina and, educate yourself in the process. I think, prevention goes a long way. And, there's something to be said about treating symptoms and, reacting. But if you can be proactive and take care of prevention, especially starting at a young age, like the ladies were talking about, I'm all for that.
Well, preventative care. Let's talk just for a couple minutes about screenings that will be offered there at the event itself.
Well, there is for blood sugar, body mass. There are chiropractic. There are people actually from the hospital, from Uniontown Hospital, the pharmacy, different medications that you can use, calcium, vitamins.
Exercise
Exercise
programs
programs,
that you can
right.
get involved with to help with preventing osteoporosis.
And the Rondeau sisters, who are also partners of ours, have a giant van, and there is bone density testing right at the fair.
Now, if someone's not able to be at the fair this year, it's important that they have some of this testing done year-round, correct?
Oh, yes. I mean,
Yes.
these are like minimal testings, but to actually get a correct reading, you should contact your doctor. Part of your annual.
Sure.
Visit.
Everyone should have an
Yes.
annual physical at
Right.
the very least.
And it's not just for women. I mean, men also can have osteoporosis. So you want to
That's right.
also make sure, as a man, you're tested too. Everybody thinks it's just women, but it's really universal.
So tell us a little bit, you mentioned one of your partners is the
Rondeau.
Rondeau Services, the sisters there. Other medical partners include Laurel Highlands OBGYN. Why don't you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, Dr. Sunez is one of our biggest supporters, and he has helped us every inch of the way. Actually, the 5K run
was-
competitive was his idea.
Correct.
And we now have a Fayette County osteoporosis support group that he runs. And that is, we do that together as well. Andrew Grindle, who is also one of our members, is going to be giving out exercises and kind of showing you how to be proactive with osteoporosis.
So in addition to this event, you have a support group event that's coming up July 17th at the Rec Center in North Union Township. Why don't you share with our guests a little bit about what they can expect at that support group and who it would be appropriate for?
Well, it is open to the public, and it's for anybody, I think, that wants to learn how to address it, and also if you have it, or maybe to prevent it. Just anybody. Men, women, doesn't matter. Open to the public.
And
It
it's,
always-
it's
I'm
free.
sorry.
I'm sorry, it's free too.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no-
free.
It always helps to have that network of people that, can kind of identify with you and have your back, so to speak. And
Now you have a celebrity walker coming out for the event that's happening this weekend, Michelle Wright. She's been with you for several years.
Matt, you always get her confused with Wendy Bell, and they're both beautiful women. And they both work for Channel 4. Michelle Wright's a good lady, though. I had a chance to talk to her last year.
The problem is when I
She's
call
very nice.
Michelle Wendy to her face.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
that's
bad.
not
yeah,
good.
no, never.
She's humble, though.
No, Michelle Wright has been with us. Matter of fact, she has a blog on the WTAE website where she addresses the osteoporosis walk. But she has been with us for 7 years, every year.
And she leads the casual leisurely walk too.
Right.
This must be something that means a lot to her, too. I think she's
Yes.
probably learned more and maybe become more intertwined with the cause over the years.
Dave, you'll also be out at the walk
Yeah.
providing some sound, I
Yeah,
believe.
we were asked to help with the AV for the race and during the day, maybe play some tunes. And it's always a pleasure to be a part of that.
So you'll know that Michelle is Michelle and not Wendy.
Yes, I got that memo.
Absolutely. So ladies, did I leave anything out that you want to share with our audience at home?
No, but everyone is invited to join Seroptimus. We are always looking for members. So the Seroptimus organization, we do meet the fourth Wednesday of every month at the Holiday Inn. If you need more information, you can contact Sharon. She's on the, I don't know what you would call it, the getting new members, Growth and Development Committee, sorry.
Yes, and also we do give out awards to promote our causes. We have the Women's Opportunity Award that we give to a woman who helps the community. Like one woman in particular I can remember started a home for unwed mothers. We've given out the Violet Richardson Award, which is an award for girls between 14 and 17 that do volunteer work. And we also give out the Women's Opportunity Award, where women who have come from maybe not such a good place can turn their life around and through education or whatever they might need.
Whatever they need.
So,
Well, ladies, I thank you for being with us. I thank you for the great work that you're doing here in the Fayette County area. It's extremely important to women and families alike, because we all need the ladies in our lives to be healthy and strong. So want to give that thanks to you. We will be back with more Going Live with FCTV in just a moment.
Do you have a buy local card?
Yes, I have one.
I do. Yeah, I have one. I use mine every day.
Where's your buy local card?
Use your buy local card to save money at restaurants, grocery stores, retail shops, tourist attractions, and service providers. Cards can be purchased online at www.buylocalfayette.org or by calling 724-437-7913.
Savor the flavor of Fayette. Buy local.
We're back with more Going Live with FCTV. I have a quick correction for you. As we incorrectly reported at the beginning of the broadcast that George Washington was roasted alive, and we knew not to be true, we found out instead it was his surveyor that had that unfortunate demise. So I didn't want anyone to think that we were incorrectly skewing history by any means here on the show.
But Washington's still dead.
Washington's still dead, yes. It didn't
affect the outcome.
No, the outcome was the same. So I have joining me three people on the couch that I think we're going to have a lot of fun with here today. We're going to talk about Dog Star books, and we'll get into that in just a minute, but I wanted to introduce you to Ceres, Wright. She's an author. Matt Betts, and by now I'm guessing our loyal viewers will have recognized Heidi Ruby Miller, who's been with us before. Heidi, you were just with us actually filling in for the local parade that happened.
Correct.
And I was reporting history there that may or may not have been true.
Yes, and apparently you're still doing it.
Yes.
Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here. Raw Dog Screaming Press is a publishing company that has been around for how long?
10 years. They're celebrating their 10-year anniversary, which is quite an accomplishment for a small press out of Washington, D.C., because they are expanding at a time when so many small presses are folding.
Now, you have just joined them as the managing director with Dog Star, and Dog Star is an imprint of Raw Dog Screaming Press. Excuse me.
You can say RDSP. Everybody knows what RDSP is.
Okay. The acronym won't trip me up at all.
Oh, no.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Dog Star imprint?
Sure. Dog Star Books is the science fiction adventure imprint of Raw Dog Screaming Press. And what they decided they wanted to do, because they do more literary and horror in their mainstream, they wanted to do something that was a little more genre. So they came to me with the idea, actually right after an event for my husband, Jason. It was after one of his book launches. And they knew that I had science fiction novels and wanted to know if I'd be interested in writing for them. And then as the evening wore on, they said, by the way, we're looking for a managing editor. You think you'd be interested in doing that as well? And the rest, they say, is history, believe it or not.
Which may or may not be true.
May not be true.
So, what do you? I would assume all of you love this genre. You know, why is it so important to you? Why is it something that is drawn to you? This genre that you write.
I grew up on science fiction. My first memory was watching Star Trek when I was 3 years old, and I was just drawn in, and I watched the reruns as I got older, and I memorized the dialogue, and it's just something that resonates with me because it brings hope for the future, and it's always current because there's technology that's. You see things now that were on Star Trek, like cell phones and communicators, and it just keeps replicating itself.
And the first movie I remember seeing was Star Wars, in the theater at least. And I think I like writing for science fiction because it lends itself a lot to the question, what if? I mean, everything in science fiction is based on what if this happened or what if this didn't happen. And as a writer, that's just a great field to play in.
Heidi?
I have always been one of those nerdy girls that for some reason really liked science fiction. And I can remember my dad and I watching episodes of X-Files and so forth. And yes, definitely the Star Wars. I have watched so many episodes of I've watched Star Wars over and over and over again. I got into some Star Trek too. And then whenever they got to Deep Space Nine, for some reason, that was the end of it for me. So I got to pick that back up again.
You were mentioning how science fiction of yesterday has become reality of today. The History Channel has a great documentary, and it's something like how William Shatner created the world or something. So that's definitely true. Heidi, you alluded to the fact that you were a geeky girl, but I think that science fiction adventure, the genre you're in, isn't just held to geeks
It isn't.
anymore.
I think in general, there's so much about science fiction that's gone into mainstream, and the adventure titles are more the titles that people would go to see at the movies. They're more the titles that someone who isn't necessarily into science or physics so much would still very much enjoy. We were speaking earlier about the difference between 2001 as opposed to Star Wars, and 2001 is more of the hard science fiction, where science fiction adventure is definitely space opera, like what Star Wars is, and that's actually what I write in, is the space opera subgenre.
Well, you look how big superhero movies are at the theater right now. All of that is science fiction in one form or another. And it's hugely popular right now. So I think people really are receptive to that what if in that sort of form, as opposed to, like you said, something that's a hard science like 2001, 2010. They might be a little more receptive if it's kind of subtle and slipped in, on the side maybe.
And they can capture younger viewers who don't understand physics.
Right.
It's a fun genre to read because it kind of takes you a little further out of your element, and you can kind of get really deeply engrossed in the book and
escape.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the movie industry, they're picking up so many of these science fiction books to turn into movies, and I think there's a great correlation there, that it's just something that can take your mind off maybe difficulties that you're having in life.
And one thing that's kind of fun right now is that the technology of the movies is finally catching up with our imaginations as writers. There was so many things that you couldn't do before, or so many effects that they didn't even dream that they could do before, that are easy and cheap to do now, that they can make a good movie with
believable.
a believable movie with the effects and the technology we have now.
Absolutely. But if you read it in the book, you don't need the special effects.
Right.
So that's always kind of the plus about reading it. You don't, even if they do the effect poorly, you don't you don't suffer from it.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about your individual books that are going to be coming out, and I have to mention that the Dog Star imprint, that line is going to be launched soft at a conference at Seton Hill University at the end of this month.
Correct.
And then there is going to be a whole DogCon conference, an event that's coming up, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about your individual books. So Ceres, Cog is one that you have that you're releasing, or has it been released at this point?
No, it'll be released July 19th.
Okay.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's a cyberpunk book, and cyberpunk is a subgenre of science fiction that usually has specific tropes or characteristics associated with it. These can include anti-hero as protagonist, cybernetic implants, artificial intelligence, dystopic landscape, hackers, and mega corporations. And there's usually a breakdown of society or government. My book is about a woman who's named Nicole. She's a curator at a holographic art museum, and she's interested in bringing fine art to the masses. So she's recreating the Prado Museum in the Anacostia area of Washington, D.C. Now, her family owns a wireless hologram provider company, and her father and her brother work there. And one day, the head of IT comes to her and says that her father has fallen into a coma, and her brother is absconded with $50 billion worth of company money. So he asks her to take over the company, and she agrees, but on her first day, her bodyguard tries to kill her, and the vice president, who unbeknownst to her is her half-brother, frames her for murder. So she goes on the run with Chris, who's the head of IT. And now she used to be a drug addict and worked for a gang leader, so she turns to him for help, and of course, he wants something in return. So she has to do this deed for the gang leader. She has to save her father from euthanasia and save the company business from going under.
A lot all tied into one. You got a little bit of Bernie Madoff. You got a little bit of column A, column B, column C. But it sounds like a great book.
Thank you.
Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about Odd Men Out?
Well, Odd Men Out is a combination of alternate history and steampunk. You guys are very familiar with alternate history here, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roasting of George Washington.
Yes.
That would be a prime example of changing history. But steampunk is a subgenre of science fiction that kind of suggests what if technology never advanced beyond steam power. And depending on what author works on it, you could have steam-powered cars, you could have steam-powered rockets, weapons, everything else can just only go to that level of technology of steam. So it sort of comes from a lot of the Victorian England idea. A lot of steampunk is set in that sort of era and that sort of area as well. So other authors like myself set them in America. Mine's around the time of the Civil War. And the book itself kind of talks about what happens when the Civil War is kind of called a draw. They call a truce to fight a zombie invasion. And after that, a lot of stuff ensues. We have a United Nations ship that's supposed to be airship that's supposed to be keeping track of both sides that kind of gets sent off on side missions and little special missions. And this one ends up looking for a very big weapon and trying to stop this sort of rebel group from using that weapon.
So we have
a little bit going on all over the place.
A little bit
yeah.
all over. Zombies, extremely popular right now.
Yeah,
did that influence you in your writing, or something you've always been interested in?
Yeah, it's something I've always been interested in, and I like a lot of the popular novels out there that are really focused on zombies, and this is sort of I wouldn't call them the main problem in the book. There are a lot of other things going on, but yeah, I've always been kind of a big zombie fan and what they can do and what they can bring to a story.
And Heidi, you have Green Shift that's out.
Right. Green Shift is actually a book that's part of my Ambassadora series. Ambassadora was my thesis novel for Seton Hill. Incidentally, COG was Ceres' thesis novel at Seton Hill as well. And the entire series is a space opera, which is very much, if you think of the around Star Wars type of thing, where you have these huge universes, lots of characters. You have several gigantic themes that are going on at any one time, space battles and all of that kind of stuff. And Ambassador is the main novel, and then I started writing spin-offs from the main series. And Green Ship happens to be a spin-off that became a bit of a prequel because it takes place before the Ambassadora series starts. And it captures actually the relationship between two characters that I absolutely love that play minor roles within Ambassadora. And it was a way for me to be able to bring those characters their own story. And it has some human trafficking, and it has a little bit of a love story, it has a little bit of a revenge story, and it has lots and lots of awesome tech. And I will say that the cover artist for all of the books, Bradley Sharp, he's out of the UK, it's absolutely wonderful. We actually hired him to do the first dozen covers for us, and he is spectacular. And we wanted something where if you looked at a cover, you said, that is a Dog Star book, and Bradley has absolutely done that. We're just very, very pleased with those.
Now, Dog Star books, anything from that imprint can be found in major stores? Where can we
no,
find
because
them?
they're a small press, so you're going to find it mostly online. You're going to find it in independent bookstores throughout the country, and of course, anywhere that we are appearing, we will always have our books with us as well.
Have we got you in Bradley Books in Uniontown Mall yet?
Not yet.
We still have to work on
We
it.
still have to work on them, yes.
Absolutely. So what's the website if we're looking for the books, if someone has, if we've sparked their interest here today?
Well, the Raw Dog website is rawdogscreaming.com, but if you go to Amazon and if you type in Dogstar Books, the Dogstar Books will be able to come up because they're all under the same publisher.
And we talked a little bit about hardcover. Are they out in ebook forms, your books as well?
Be ebook and trade paperback.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So tell me a little bit, I alluded to DogCon. Why don't you tell us about that conference?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, it's, we're referring to kind of as a circus, and I think it's going to really be that for the weekend. It's taking place in the first weekend of August, and we'll have several readings of not just Dogstar authors, but some Raw Dog poets and authors from there. We'll be doing some writers' workshops, and we'll have some steampunk costumers coming in. There's going to be a lot going on that weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a really great way to launch the whole line and all the books that go with it.
And it's going to be just over the border in Ohio.
Yes, Columbus.
Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's within a road trip distance for those
sure
viewing in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. This is a conference that has happened in the past as well?
It's our second year. Last year we had it in DC, and then this year we're going to do it in Columbus, and who knows where it's going to be next year.
We'll continue to
Yes,
move.
it keeps expanding.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely.
So a little bit closer to home is the soft launch at Seton Hill. Heidi, I know you're involved with the In Your Right Mind conference. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. The In Your Right Mind conference is the conference that the Seton Hill Writing Popular Fiction graduate students, the alumni, have put together. It is open to the public. We get in editors and agents that you can pitch to. We get in guest authors, and we have pretty fabulous events. Like we have a Friday night book signing, which you guys may be attending, which would be wonderful. And we have usually the entire gym taken up. There were about 150 people there last year, and it only keeps expanding. And they usually have chocolate during it, so that's an added bonus. And then Saturday night, they always have the costume ball, and this year the theme is the Princess Bride. So there's going to be lots of great costumes as far as that goes. And you guys will be there for that as well. And then Going Live is also going to do some nice little author interview segments, which I get to be a part of, and we're really looking forward to that.
I think that'll be great to get to talk to some authors all day long. And
especially on the Hill, because Seton Hill is
absolutely.
awesome.
You can wear your knickers.
I could put my knickers on. Would that fit maybe
For the Princess
the
Bride?
alternate history?
Yeah, alternate history, that'd be great.
So since we touched on alternate history, and since Dave has been rewriting history all night, before we go to break, which I'm getting the overtime anyway, but I blow them off sometimes
I know,
when I
she's
get
over
it.
there.
Waving it out.
If you had one historical event that you could have let go a different way, if you were writing alternate history and there was an event that you wanted to go another direction, what would that event be and how would you shift it?
Well, I'd love to roast me some George Washington, but I'd love to see what would have happened if Lincoln hadn't been assassinated, just to see where that next step would have been for him and how it would have.
It's his next
ended up.
novel. You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gave him a new
Yeah,
idea.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ceres, do you have a alternate history path that you would go?
Well, building on that, I think how the civil rights movement would have gone if Martin Luther King had not been assassinated. Because he was starting to hit on movements for the poor. So I think that's very relevant.
Heidi?
I'm more forward thinking. I'm always like futuristic. So, and you know, with time travel, if I'd go back and try to change something, then I would end up like killing my great grandfather, and nobody would be here. So.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks for being with us. I look forward to seeing you all be at Seton Hill.
Yes.
Look forward to catching up with you there, and hopefully our cameras and our guests at home can catch up with you once again. Thanks for being with us on Going Live with FCTV. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Do you have a buy local card?
Yes, I have one. I do.
Yeah, I have one. I use mine every day.
Where's your Buy Local card?
Use your Buy Local card to save money at restaurants, grocery stores, retail shops, tourist attractions, and service providers. Cards can be purchased online at www.buylocalfayette.org or by calling 724-437-7913.
Savor the flavor of Fayette. Buy local.
I'm a little confused. You start following Clinton Kelly on Twitter and you end up standing next to mannequins. I'm glad it's not my outfit they're trying to change today, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Joining me on the Going Live stage is Beth Maruskin, and we just went over that before the camera started rolling. Beth, I apologize about the last name.
Okay.
You're with Dress for Success.
That's correct.
And Dress for Success is an international organization. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your organization and what you do?
Sure. Well, Dress for Success is an international organization which actually currently we're in 10 different countries, 120 different affiliates all over the world. It began in 1997 in New York City and has just really evolved over the years to the 120 affiliates. And I'm a part of the Pittsburgh affiliate, which we have branches all over southwestern Pennsylvania. My branch is here in Fayette County. We've been here since July of 2008, and we've served a little over 1,200 women since opening in July 2008.
Okay. So what are the services that you provide here locally in Fayette County?
Well, the cornerstone of our program is the clothing assistance program, which basically what we do is we provide interview and employment clothing to women who are transitioning back into the workforce, and then also women who maybe are doing an internship through their school, who might need a certain or who might need to meet a certain clothing requirement as far as, with dress code or whatnot. Yeah, we could provide them with those clothes also. And then in addition to the clothing component, we do have a employment retention program, which is the professional women's group, which basically what that is, it's an ongoing support group for women who we've served and who are employed. We have an expert guest speaker who will come in once a month and talk on relevant topics such as financial literacy, the etiquette of the workplace, the do's and don'ts of the workplace, the work environment, and also maybe there may be someone coming and talking about maybe tips for juggling career and home life. A lot of our clients, they're the sole breadwinners, and they're the ones raising these children. So by themselves. So sometimes there's challenges that go along with it. So, and also it's good networking for the clients because they share some of the same challenges and struggles, and they can kind of provide support for one another. So that's one of the programs also that we offer in addition to the clothing. And then also we have our career center, which is, and it's not just for clients, actually it's for any woman who is job searching, can utilize that service. We can help them to write superior cover letters and resumes, or maybe they already have the cover letter and resume, maybe they just want to fine tune it, maybe they need to update it or what have you, and also we can do mock interviewing with them. There's computers that they can use to job search. They can do a self-directed online job search and apply for positions right there in our facility. So those are the three components to our program that we can offer in Fayette County.
Now, your program works on a referral basis to a certain extent. Who are some agencies or organizations that could refer someone if they need your services?
Sure. The Goodwill Workforce Development Center, the county assistants, some of the different schools and universities in the area, California University, the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology, Laurel Business Institute, all the departments within community action, and also Mount St. Macarena Manor Care. Yeah, those are some of the different agencies. So basically any woman who is interested in receiving help from us can contact any of those agencies, and then those referral partners of ours can refer those ladies to us.
Okay, so let's talk about the outfits you have here today, and let's give some tips maybe to the viewers at home on appropriate dress for interviews.
Well, sometimes you just don't think about the outfit really being a huge component to the interview process and success in the workplace, but truly you never really get a second chance to make a good, positive first impression. So really just the outfit is a key piece, especially for the interview. You want to make a positive first impression, and these are the ones that I brought here today are just some basic classic, more or less, styles. You always want to stick with more neutral colors. You don't really want anything flamboyant or flashy or wild prints. Gray and just a classic black is just always a safe bet. This is just your basic two-piece pantsuit here, which you can kind of interchange that with all different shells or blouses. And also right here I have just your basic gray pant with just a classic button-down shirt, which the gray would go well also with purple, or of course black and gray are always a good match. And
you've accessorized these pieces a little bit.
Yes, and the rule of thumb too is you don't really want to be too flashy. You just kind of want to keep it as minimal and conservative as possible, just with just a basic necklace. I mean, this is nothing real ostentatious or flashy. It's just a basic piece. And the gray, I kind of felt like the gray it worked well with the with the gray pants and the blue here. I didn't really accessorize as far as necklaces. With this, I kind of feel that the red kind of gives it a little bit of pop and flair. You really don't want to overdo it beyond that. And then also here, this is just a nice basic black handbag, which sometimes people prefer a larger purse to a smaller purse, like that one there. And this is just basic, that'll go with pretty much any color. Black is just always the safe bet. And then, of course, you want to be mindful about the shoes that you select. The rule of thumb is, you really don't want to go above 1.5 inch heel. A lot of people, these days you see them wearing stiletto heels. They always say, leave that for your, evening escapades. You just kind of, want to wear more conservative heels in the workplace.
Professional attire.
Right, yes.
Now, you had mentioned about dressing appropriate for the interview itself, but if you were going to pick up an application, say you're looking to find a job and you're going in to pick up the paper application, you should probably be dressed as though you would for the interview as well.
Right, because really you don't know whether they're just going to interview, maybe they're going through a hiring frenzy and maybe they, are just ready to interview right there on the spot. You really just don't know. And you just, you want to present yourself like you're going to work, even though you're just really searching and maybe obtaining applications or passing out resumes to different employers. You just always want to be at your best, because like I said before, that first impression is everything. You can't go back and change it if somebody has a negative perception of you. Of course, there's so much more than just the outfits. I mean, there's the actual person and what they bring to the table as far as marketable skills. But if all the employer is going to remember is the sweatpants or whatever outfit you're showing up in to drop off your application, they're not going to get past that.
You have to get in the front door before you can tell them what you can do for their organization.
Right.
So.
And then also, to go along with outfits, you have to be mindful too of fragrances. even though maybe you love all different fragrances from Bath and Body Works, you just really don't want to come across that you just bathed in it or doused yourself with a bottle of cologne before your interview, because not only is that just might be offensive to someone, but sometimes people have different allergies or what have you, and that just might, no matter how wonderful you might be, they're thinking, oh gosh, is she going to show up to work with that bottle of perfume every day? I don't know if I could stand that, no matter how wonderful she is. So, and then also, just your hair, the grooming and the nails. You just want to be, making sure to be as conservative as possible with, maybe if you have several pierces on your, just tone that down.
Sure. So we're actually out of time, but I did want to get to the fact that you're a volunteer-driven organization. So in just 30 seconds, if someone wants to get involved, if they want to help, how can they?
They can contact us at Dress for Success, 724-437-1341, and we'd be happy to, we're just always so happy and grateful to have volunteers helping us and promoting our mission. So just they can get in touch with us at that number.
Well, hey Beth, thanks for being with us.
Much.
You're welcome back anytime. Thanks for bringing the close. I'm sure the viewers at home enjoyed that, and hopefully it helps someone out who's going out on one of those interviews. Stick around. We'll be back with more Going Live in just a moment.
A few years ago, I was at a dead end, underemployed, with no idea of where my life was headed. Then I enrolled at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology's School of Healthcare Careers and discovered a great career and great life was only months away. Now, I've started the career of my dreams, and the future couldn't be brighter.
The School of Healthcare Careers at the Pennsylvania Institute of Health and Technology offers career-focused, hands-on training for these in-demand fields. Call 724-437-4600 or visit piht.edu for information.
Well, thanks for
It's a lady who deserves that applause for
sure. She does. You may not know Barb Pasqua, but Barb has been a good friend of Going Live and has introduced us to some of our very popular guests. I guess I want to say.
Guests who've turned into co-hosts.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Barb introduced us to Jen Frame, who served as co-host while Dave was away in Brazil. And her sister is Chomi, the world-traveling flight attendant, who was with us and got to tell us a little bit about all the different places she went. Ed Cope, she helped make that connection with us. Although we knew Ed, we didn't know he had been featured. So you have all of these great artists because of your affiliation with the law library. Is that correct?
Well, it started out, I'm the assistant law librarian.
Okay.
And my boss is Barry Blaine, the law librarian. And we were hosting a program, a meeting for Southwestern law librarians, and it was our turn. Well, I wanted to do something different for the law librarians. So I thought, let's have an art program, bring in some local art. And everyone seemed to be in agreement with it. It started out, basically, I had one attorney who did origami, and people liked that. So that grew my interest into having this program. I started this program in September of 2007 for this law librarians meeting, and I advertised on the employee billboard in the courthouse artist, and I had an overwhelming response. And my boss and I both saw how many artists. I mean, I couldn't begin to tell you how many artists that applied. So we put up their artwork, and we impressed our guest with our local artists. So I decided, well, since we have so many artists, let's try once a month having one artist featured and their artwork. Well, I went to the president judge at that time, and I went to the commissioners, and they said, okay. Well, little did I know it was going to mushroom into such a phenomenal program. We would the word of mouth got around, and we ended up starting the program in April of 2008. I've been doing this for 5 years. A lady.
You never come up short for artists.
No, no.
In fact, I think I read, I don't mean to steal your thunder, but I think I read in your article, which we'll talk about a little later, that you have a waiting list now till 2017?
I just booked August of 2017.
Wow.
I am now booking for September of 2017. I had a gentleman come in today from Fairchance that's a glass artist. We began doing this, and the one president judge retired, and then the next one started, and he donated this beautiful brass easel. It stood this high. Well, it got knocked around because it was down on the front desk.
And this easel was to show, to showcase the name of the artist.
And their artwork. Let's say Ed Cope Photography would be one. Well, other artists kept coming around and saying, we'd like to put our name on the list. Well, it started growing. And like I say, I'm booking right now, September of 2017. And how this article came about was a lady had law library Google alerts, and she emailed me and said she read one of the articles that appeared in the Daily Courier, and she asked about my art, about the art program, and she was interested in starting her own. Well, this lady's name is Mary, and she came from Hamilton County in Cincinnati, Ohio. And as I told her how my program went and everything, and she says, why don't you ask the American Association of Law Libraries in Chicago if they'd be interested in doing the story. So I contacted them, and I told them I had this art program. And I'm not sure, but I think I'm the only law library with an art program, or I'm one of the very few in the country that has this. So back in February, I wrote the article and I submitted it, and they liked it, and I submitted 7 artists to them and let them select, and they picked all 4 of those artists are from the Uniontown Art Club.
Monica Sweet's one of them. She's been on our show.
Monica Sweet. Joe Baritsky just finished up last month. I was expecting just psonky eggs. What I got was a Polish creche. It must be 4 feet high. It took him 10 months to build. And when you walked into the library, it just overwhelmed you because it was so grand. And then I also had Charlene Stock, and of course they picked my husband's carved pencils, Pete Pasqua. But the thing about this program, I have all kinds of people. I have people from ages of 14 that go to 97. Jim Campbell is my oldest artist. He's a blacksmith. I have all kinds of artwork. Ladies who take book covers and make purses. I have bead makers. I have people who punch out the backgrounds of coins and make coin art or jewelry. I have one international lady from China who does cityscapes, and she's married to one of the local attorneys. I do have people who have come from other states. I have had people who mailed their works from the state of California, the state of Rhode Island, the state of Maryland, and West Virginia that I have featured. And I just had a young man from Ecuador who contacted me, and he wanted to fly up from Ecuador to put his stuff in the law library, and I just said I couldn't do that right now for him.
So, you mentioned all the diversity of the different types of art, and that's great because, some people may not like one type of art, they may not like another kind of art, but you'd have to be a pretty bland person to not like art at all.
That's true.
We're just about over time, but I wanted to mention that you're going to be getting a proclamation on June 18th at 10 a.m.
Yes,
for your work setting up the program, and we wanted to congratulate you.
Thank you. I'm very excited about my art program and about the proclamation.
Well, Barb, we hope that you can be a reoccurring guest because you keep sending us great people. So
Thank you.
hopefully you can be with us once again. I apologize. We ran just a little short on time. I know we could have talked all evening, but we have to wrap up the show here today. We thank you for watching this episode of Going Live with FCTV. We'll see you next time.